We just found out that today is our own Ace Meyer's birthday. So we want to wish a happy birthday to Ace. Thank you, guys. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Asa. Happy birthday to you.
My God.
Okay, we had to cut away. Ace actually almost caught the studio on fire with his birthday celebration. So sorry about that, but we're back now and ready to get into the episode. So without any further ado, you guys know myself and Ace. I would like to introduce to the team, starting left to right, Nate.
Hi everyone, my name is Nathan Morkowski. I'm down in Lee County, Florida. For everyone's reference, that's Cape Coral and Fort Myers. I focus in Lee County and Fowler County, as well as Charlotte County, so that's Punta Gorda all the way south to Naples. Primarily, I focus in multifamily, some industrial, some retail as well, some hospitality, but mainly multifamily, apartment complexes, and mobile home parks.
Awesome. And we're going to learn more about kind of what's going on in the Cape Coral, Fort Myers area, Naples, from Nate a little bit later in the episode. But Lorena?
Hi everyone, my name is Lorena Fleming. I'm from Lakewood Ranch, and I focus all the way south and north as well, all West Gulf. And I love to help business owners to bring new businesses to Lakewood Ranch and all surrounding areas. I love to work with them and help them to open new businesses, finding new retailers. And also I love hotels, hospitality. I have a big background. I have my diploma in hotels, and I love now to get involved in this huge dream that hotels have. And I love hotels, and with real estate, it's a great combination. So I would love to help you out on this.
You want to talk about your background in Canada and kind of your whole story moving down here?
Yes, absolutely. I'm originally from Argentina. I lived many years in Texas, and then I moved to Canada. I live in Vancouver for about 12 years. And I also live in Uruguay, and I did a lot of different transactions within the real estate market. I did some wholesaling and luxury and residential as well.
Okay.
And then I decided to have my license. And then one day we decided to come to Florida. Say, okay, we need a warm weather. We got tired a little bit of with the winter. I love snow, but I think the warm weather works better. And meeting people here, it's awesome. The community, it's wonderful. And we're very happy to be here.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you guys operated a business as well, right? You're looking to purchase a new business down here in Florida?
Yes, that's correct. My whole family background is from being entrepreneurship. They all have retailers, like selling different stuff. So I have the school from business. My husband also owns his business his whole life. So we always purchase together, negotiate together, and move forward.
From what I hear, Lorena is a tough negotiator.
Yes, I am. Yes. I love to fight for you guys, for the clients, and get the best deal possible. That's what I like to do. I think there's always a deal, but the sale price, it's not the real price. We gotta drop it down. Always, otherwise it's not a deal.
That's awesome. So, what type of business?
Well, we own everything related to arcade games, amusement games.
Yeah.
So we have all over different stores. Our business is still running in Canada.
Okay.
So we are expanding here, and boxer machines. So
the
punching.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yes. So we are the only distributors here in the US for a specific brand. Yeah. So the business is really growing and very excited. Yeah.
That's my favorite party trick. We go out to a bar or something, I always hit the machine. Like $9.98.
People love that. Yes.
Oh, okay.
The full tables, everything. So yeah, it's all within the same industry, right? Hospitality,
Right.
Restaurants as well. My husband is from restaurant industry, so we always stay with that kind of type of market and
Do you have to put them in a specific spot, or do you like open an arcade shop and you put your machines in there, or can you put them like in a bar or? Because I see bars that have like tool tables that have punching bags. So does it matter where you put them?
Well, there's a strategy for everything. Like you can have your own store just full of machines and just be an arcade store where you pay, you just play, purchase the card and fill in with money and then just play. And then you have another option where, for example, restaurants or pubs or bars that they want to add value to their business. And they have like a corner or sector, like a space within the restaurant, and they call us and say, "Hey, I need a pool table, I need a boxer machine. What can you bring?" And we show them the options, and they choose depending on the space that they have because they're big machines.
Right.
So and then we evaluate everything. Where is exactly the location, the demographic, what type of clientele they have. So each machine works with different clientele as well, right? And then if that machine doesn't work out, then we switch it. So
you have options too, which is very nice.
Yeah.
What's the most popular machine?
Boxer machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I had a bar, how much would one of the box machines run me?
That's my husband's business.
They never give out the real price.
Talk to him.
Awesome. Can you talk to us a little bit about what's happening in Lakewood Ranch?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Lakewood Ranch, it's a brand new area. It's growing really fast, but there is still a lot of land available to purchase, and a lot of new businesses are opening up. There's a lot of demand for different kind of businesses. We still need new business people to come in and open new businesses. We need coffee shops for sure. Yes, UTC area. It's a very popular area. It's where all the commercial area is in Lakewood Ranch. Everyone goes there. That area has hotels, commercial shopping malls, fitness center, like everything, you name it.
Is the residential home building outpacing commercial?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And it's expanding, and then see constructions everywhere. Right. And it's amazing how the community is growing. Everyone wants to move to Lakewood Ranch. So behind a residential home, there's always a business need, right? So that's what I want to help everyone. We have a lot of migration from Canada as well.
Big time.
Right? New York, California.
Yeah.
So those people like to explore different areas. And it's a very quiet area, like Lakewood Ranch.
Yeah. The secret's definitely out on Lakewood Ranch.
Yeah. So
when we do business brokerage, a lot of the business owners that are selling in those areas she just mentioned and moving down to Florida, they usually request Lakewood Ranch. It's the number one.
Yeah. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. And it's expanding. And I can't say now how the residential market is, but I strongly suggest that if you're opening a new business, then it's a good area to consider to
Right.
come and take a look. So you can contact me and we can walk around and I can show you all different areas, because everything now it's in UTC, but there's way more construction
Right.
outside UTC with a lot of new communities that we need commercial.
Right.
Really new commercial and new businesses, for sure.
Well, the secret's out on Lakewood Ranch, but my favorite hidden gem, a place that we're actually thinking about moving, that I think could be the next, maybe Lakewood Ranch, next place to blow up, is the Cape Coral, Fort Myers, down in Naples area. One of the last places left that you can still reasonably afford living close to the beach. So that's Nate's market. Can you talk to us about that and your background as well?
Yeah, so I've been in Florida approximately 3 years. I moved straight to Cape Coral, so didn't even go the Tampa route, the St. Pete route, or the Lakewood Ranch route, just straight to Cape Coral. We really had a big opportunity blow up with this last Hurricane Ian come in, especially in the Fort Myers Beach, Sanibel Island, and Pine Island. Those islands got decimated, unfortunately. And with every tragedy does come opportunity. There is a lot of available property for sale in terms of lots, either houses that got torn down, buildings that got torn down. So in the Cape Coral market, Cape Coral has always been a residential-based market. We actually have the largest residential tract of land in all of Florida. With it, Fort Myers, Estero, Bonita Springs have been the commercial development. We wanted to see, and really the cities wanted to see more of an influx in businesses, because there really is no strip. There's no downtown in Cape Coral. It's really all just houses. It originally was a vacation spot. The history behind it is you would go up, you would fly because there was no roads. You would fly in a plane, drop a bed of flour. That's where your plot of land was, where you build your house. A lot of people came from the Northeast and the Midwest to build spec houses. So the history behind it, they're trying to move away from that, or so commercialize it and make it more of an overall city.
Right.
Interesting. So what needs do you see there, commercial-wise?
Mainly, I see a lot of retail needs. There's a lot of retail needs, especially in the downtown region. There's a lot of active developments currently. Personally, I see a lot of multifamily pop up. We have approximately 6 luxury apartments in Cape Coral. Cape Coral's spread out a lot, so it's very spread out due to the actual homes, the canals. We have over 400 miles of canals. It's one of the largest in all of Florida and in the U.S., I would say. Kind of what you see in the streets of Venice, Italy.
Okay.
The actual canal systems that weave in between. That has some hazard in terms of overall development, because you have to move around those canals, but it also does bring up the actual price of home values, because you are able to use those canals to make it out to the Gulf. And a lot of them are actual saltwater canals. So with it, I see a lot of retail needs, as well as once you go out more north, you see a lot of industrial needs. So the overall strip of Del Prado is mainly industrial. As you get up to North Fort Myers region,
Right.
it's also a lot of industrial needs.
Gotcha. Are there any alligators in saltwater canals?
Oh yeah, all the time. All the time. I've actually seen 3. Yeah.
No way.
I've never seen an
it's-
alligator, so I've been here for 8 months in Florida. Haven't seen one alligator.
That's a shame.
It is a shame.
Well,
They're everywhere, so
we gotta take you out to Alligator Alley.
Oh yeah, you'll see them out there.
do the gator roll. I'll take one.
Awesome. You want to talk about the St. Pete market?
Yeah, of course. So I live in Southside St. Pete downtown. I do work all of Pinellas County, so Northside St. Pete, Southside, Largo, Clearwater, Tyrone, the whole Pinellas County. So I would say with Pinellas County, it's pretty built. We're not really in need of major development, commercial, business, or residential. But I do see a lot of old homes that do need, improvements. So, like, for example, there's a bunch of homes in downtown, great location, but they're just extremely old houses that it's not nice to look at in a sense, I'm not saying that they're distressed, like new roof or anything like that. Just the houses in themselves are just really old, built in the 70s or 80s, and maybe some renovation would help. So we're not really too in need of development, but just, redevelopment. So like I live right next to this huge shopping center, like not even a half a mile away from my apartment, and it's completely vacant. It's huge. It's in a great location, but no one's touching it. We just need some maybe developers to come in with their magic, make it look nice again, put some businesses in there, and you just got yourself a great location with the business.
Yeah.
Overall, the market is pretty great. You're going to get that. You're not going to get those very expensive homes nor cheap ones. So we're right in the middle on the market. So, great young community. We have a mix of both, I would say. We do have the older community, but we also have a college right in downtown. So we do have young families constantly moving to St. Pete. It's still a growing area. I don't think it peaked yet. I don't think it's or a decline. It's still on an incline. So if you're
Would you say it's changing over with the younger crowd coming in?
Yeah, I know for sure. More younger people are coming in all the time, and that's what's changing kind of the community, But like, there's nothing wrong with having a mixed community of like ages. But I am I've only been here for 8 months in St. Pete, so I don't know how it was years ago. But what I've heard, it was an older community before, and now it is kind of flipping to a younger community, which. Ideally, I would like, coming from Maine. For a lot of people that don't know, Maine is pretty older state, nothing over there. So living in an area that I can meet people my age, entrepreneurs my age, just like me, and they are the same age. It's amazing, But yeah, if you're considering St. Pete for any kind of businesses, commercial or regular, just a business, it's a great spot. You'll get that perfect middle of for pricing.
And a young workforce, young professionals to tap into.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we all know that's one of the hardest things right now is to find good young employees that want to go work. And if your area doesn't have that, then you have to start recruiting, from different cities and towns, but they don't want to commute. But you live in downtown with, 50% of the population downtown are like below 30, you're looking at a good, good employment.
How about St. Pete Beach?
St. Pete
and Row of Hospitality.
St. Pete Beach is beautiful. It's for hospitality specifically. I mean, what do you mean, like for business wise?
So like the hotels, the community, the hangout spots.
There's a ton you can do. I love Tampa, but I never go to Tampa. I mean, I just have everything I need in St. Pete. Especially like Kevin was talking about, the beach. You can do anything on the beach. There's like hotels that have outdoors activities for for any kind of ages. Really, they set up events. We do have probably in Tampa or locations you guys are at, like First Friday, for example, the beginning of the first Friday of every month, we close down the streets, and you can just. There's no cars. You can do whatever you want. You'll see cops riding horses. Keeping people calm. But it's just overall, there's always something to do there. And even again, looping it back around to businesses and commercial, you have such a young community, so you can start building new ideas that the new young community might like, versus have to be old fashioned.
They need some more boxing machines.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you take the boxing machines to downtown St. Pete or St. Pete Beach, every business will say, "Yeah, please put one in there."
Oh, give me a call. I passed it to my husband.
So how does that compare to the beaches around you? And do you think that there's an opportunity for your area to kind of follow that model? Because that's what I think. If somebody's looking to buy land or a house, a rental house, Airbnb, or something that could explode in value, that's kind of one of the last little pocket that is undervalued right now.
Right.
How do they compare, and how do you think they can get there?
I would say Fort Myers Beach would be your best option in terms of a development play in the hospitality realm. With the hurricane really hit the outer perimeter of the island. So, like I said, the Pine Island, the Sanibel, and the Fort Myers Beach. Fort Myers Beach has always been where your tourists are at. So you have Airbnbs, but it was really a lot of mom and pop. Unfortunately, with the hurricane, a lot of those mom and pop, smaller style, maybe you had a multifamily fourplex, that got wiped out. So a lot of the construction, it didn't last up for a direct hit in her. Because everyone always said, "Oh, it will never hit Lee County. It'll never hit Naples." And when it did at a Category 5, we saw the results, and unfortunately, a lot of properties were destroyed. But with it, right now there's a lot of land for sale zoned specifically for hospitality. So if an investor wanted to make a development play, Fort Myers Beach should be the best option. For everyone else, it should be a Sanibel. So Sanibel is another island that stretches out, not as developed as Fort Myers Beach, but the islands are immaculate. I would say island-wise and beach-wise, Sanibel Beach are better beaches, better quality beaches overall. So long-term play, you could see hotels and different, let's say, Airbnb or short-term rentals in that market.
Right.
Overall, we could see a large play and a large push towards Pine Island as well. Pine Island, right between it, connects something called Matlacha, which is a small, think of it, a Key West.
Okay.
It's a very small, one-lane road. A lot of times, people use those for vacation rentals. So smaller area, now it's getting a lot more traction. People know about it a lot more. And that's the development where it's playing out towards the actual islands. Where Gilead, which was a small fishing town, now it has a bunch of different short-term rentals and hospitality places.
Wow. Okay.
So if you can invest something on the beach right now, what route would you take? Like an Airbnb? Would you take a small hotel, motel? Or would you think maybe a large hotel would be good on the beach right now?
I think a large hotel development play would be the way to go long term. The issue with purchasing right now, just let's say an existing unit already on the beach, you have to think about damages. What kind of damage is it going to sustain? So I would start fresh. I would start brand new. If you can get a well-priced piece of land that's zoned, or you can even the city's right now, especially in Fort Myers Beach, working a lot with investors in terms of zoning.
And they want to the new standard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because they want these buildings up to code, to where if another hurricane were to hit, it's solid.
Right. And Annabelle and Pine Island, they really were on the national stage. So people have heard those names that aren't from Florida, and they've asked us about it. Like, hey, how do you feel about these islands? So what have they done to try to bring the islands back? I know that they rebuilt the bridge.
Right. Yeah, the bridge was the biggest thing because the bridge in Sanibel actually collapsed during the hurricane. So they built the bridges back. But really, the biggest thing they're trying to do is work with investors and developers on zoning. And that's been the biggest push. It's just rezoning anything and really not having as much restrictions. Cape Coral has always been known for having more stricter restrictions in terms of zoning. So you are starting to see the outer islands have less of a leash on those zoning restrictions.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Which is always nice as an investor that you can just go into an area and the zoning isn't going to be too much of a problem.
Right.
Because like in St. Pete, you definitely you come in here and you find a piece of land and it's zoned for like residential. You can do whatever you want. You're not going to get that commercial zoning. So.
Another opportunity could be Naples as well. Naples is a little more built out, especially the southern region of Naples. There's a lot of longer term developments that have already been in play. But what we're starting to see is that move up towards what's called Estero and Bonita Springs. Those have a lot of commercials. So you think of industry, you think of retail. There's a lot of plays up there, but they have a nice beach. And it's not really well known. The southern end of Fort Myers Beach, it's not really well known because a lot of people that come just for that initial Fort Myers Beach stay, once you kind of like go out towards Estero, go out towards those Naples beaches, even a hospitality play, let's say midway from on Estero Island or actually on the base of Estero, could be long term. They want to see Fort Myers and Naples connect, and we're starting to see that with Estero.
Right, gotcha. How do you feel about Port Charlotte and Venice?
That is also, Port Charlotte and Venice, there's a lot of opportunity there to bridge the gap, because what you have right now is you have Cape Coral and really Punta Gorda and Port Charlotte region, where there's nothing between.
Right.
You have Birchville Marina, but what you're starting to see, they just put actually a brand new mobile home park on the way there. They put a brand new, it's actually not fully developed yet, but the actual marina itself is there. There's not much in between. So you're starting to see there's a lot of land for sale out there. It's just what you have to think is this is probably a 20-year play. It's a 20-year play to actually bridge the gap between the two. But right now, actively, there's a lot of opportunity in Punta Gorda and Port Charlotte region as it stands. And then once those two worlds connect, you'll see a large boom.
Right, absolutely. So both of you guys have experience in the fix and flip market. Can you talk about why it's so difficult to do that right now? Fix and flips used to happen all the time. The volume's dropped off a cliff.
Right.
So what's going on in the fix and flip market? Because right now we have guys from all over the country that do fix and flips in Oregon, California, looking at these markets here in Florida, knowing that a lot of people are moving here. And they're wondering why there isn't a bunch of deals here either. So what's going on there?
Well, I think the housing market is really high. Like there is a lot of demand, and I don't think there's always opportunities, right? But you need to make it work at the end with the numbers, right? And as soon as you start digging and you break a wall, and then you find another problem, and then right? That's how it works. You just walk into a house and you see, this is beautiful. Let's start. Well, your budget started with one number, and you end up double it.
Right.
And now with the loans and the interest rate, also make it harder to flip in houses as well. So, and some people don't want to sell it as well. So investors look for opportunities always and look at the numbers. If numbers don't work, then they just find another route of making money.
Right.
I know what the investors look. I know some investors look for a specific percentage.
Right.
So if you know how to negotiate when you purchase a house, then they can make money. Right? They can have if you have the right team to do it, because having the right team, that's another thing to consider when you do flipping, and you need to have a responsible team, because sometimes they don't show up, they're sick or whatever, so everything delays, and it's hard to find not just it's just knowledgeable people, right?
And not to knock anybody, but obviously having business experience as a realtor, you look at deals very differently. Realtors are like, look at the location, look where this is, the color. We don't look at it that way. We look at, do the numbers work? If the numbers don't work, it doesn't matter where that property is at all, period, especially now with the rates being so high. So that gives you a different lens when you're looking at properties for investors.
Yes, absolutely. And they don't care. It doesn't matter if it's a nice house, a beautiful house. It could be different needs for people to sell a house, a lot of motivation. So you got to see what the motivation of the person is when they want to sell the house or they want to sell the commercial. So there's always opportunity. People are always moving, having divorce, death, unfortunately. I mean, there are different reasons why people would like to sell and have an extra motivation to sell. So whoever has cash is king, as we all know. And you can close right away with cash when the loans now are a bit of...
and they'll take less.
And they take less.
And not deal with the banks right now.
Absolutely. That's key.
But a lot of these homes are older, right? And not up to code, which we found out in that storm. So that's the other challenge to remodeling them. So what are some fix and flippers doing? Are they just scraping and starting over?
So good deals solve all problems. If you can, depending on what you get the purchase price at, you can really work with a longer construction. It's all budgeting up front a lot of times. So if you have the idea that this could take longer, what I have seen personally with the investors that I've worked with is having this, not only that rates are at 7.3%, but also this could take longer because of either code errors or because inspections may not pass due to hurricanes or due to other factors that are involved in just wear and tear on a house or any property. What you're starting to see is those longer times, and also you have to think about the market's up in the air in terms of where valuations are going. And this plays into the commercial realm, but mainly residential. There's a lot of a scarcity mindset of our values going to drop. Where is it going to go with rates? Are rates going to continue to increase? And right now, everyone who bought at a 2%, 3%, 4% interest rate is like, I don't want a 7.3%. So they're a little hesitant to sell. There still are sellers. And there still are people who need to sell, not necessarily want to sell, but need to sell.
Always.
And that's where the opportunity lies to solve that need and solve the need in the community as well. Renovating these houses and renovating these buildings that do need repair. That's where the perfect opportunity happens for the investor to find those great deals and act upon them.
And I would say something that when you purchase is when you make the money, not when you sell. So that's very important to know, because a lot of people say they try to see the future and say, okay, well, I'm buying it, and they just play with what's going to happen, and they think they're going to make it, and then the market crashes or something happens, and you don't make the money when you sell. You make the money when you buy.
Right.
So if you purchase it high, we have an issue.
Right.
So that's why it's very important to do a very good negotiation when you purchase something, commercial, residential, business, whatever, because anything could be wrong. But if you purchase at the right price, you will survive.
And for us, for listing properties, I mean, it's virtually impossible to sell a pro forma these days.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You've got to sell as is. What's it making right now? I don't care what it could make. But something we were talking about last night when we met with the client is a lot of people were celebrating that they paused the rate hikes. I wasn't because it mirrors what happened in the '08 recession. When the Fed pauses the rate hikes and says, okay, we don't need to raise the rate anymore. What that means is they have finally curtailed spending. That means, hey, everybody, people are not spending money anymore. They're holding on to their money. And obviously, as brokers, that means for us, volume is going down. It's becoming harder and harder to find deals. And to me, also signals this is the shift in the market that everybody's been talking about the last year. Everybody's been saying, okay, we're going to hit a recession. It's going to be bad. I've been waiting for them to stop raising rates because that means we finally did it. So now we're going to start to see the shift. And now we're going to start to see what you were talking about, sellers out of desperation because that spending money, that extra money that everybody's been comfortable with the last couple of years since COVID, everybody's reaching in that back pocket. It's not there anymore. And you know, also, like you said, a tragedy is also an opportunity. That's going to be when you guys are going to have an opportunity to grab something because our investors have been patient. They've kept their dry powder, their cash on the sidelines and waiting. And Warren Buffett says it's not time. What is it? Not timing the market. It's time in the market. So these experienced investors have the time in the market. They know all they had to do was wait. And I think that opportunity has come.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you this, Kevin. They paused it like last week. They do have another meeting coming up. Do you think they're going to be another pause or?
You know, I think they're saying they're preparing people that there's going to be another rate hike so that when there isn't one, they'll maybe drum up some excitement. But again, this is just the turn of the shift. So they may need to raise rates one more time to really, because there's been I mean, we know it. We talk to our investors. We know how much cash they have. We can see it. We know how much there's a ton of people not going back to work and they're still out at the bar every weekend. That means there's extra spending money still. In 2008, that wasn't happening. People keep saying, well, this is going to be 2000. Like the last year and a half, you've been hearing it. This will be the '08 recession all over again. No, in '08, people were holding on to their money. People were buying soup cans. That hasn't happened yet. So now, over the next 6 months, are we going to start to see that happening?
And there was a lot more inventory in 2008. And I believe there was like, 2 million foreclosed homes? And now we're less than 1 million. So like the whole recession thing, I hear all the time too, that like by the end of the year or early next year, we're going to go into a major recession. Well, you can just look at the market and the market will tell you if we're leading up to it. And just by what's available right now on, for sale, we're not even close to a recession. To be in a recession, we need a lot more people selling, kind of in distress. They need money, they need to sell. And these sellers, it's a seller's market. They have control. So I'm not seeing how it could lead to a major recession. We don't have enough sellers on market.
You need those people to run out of cash finally. And now they need to sell. And that's sad to say, but that's what happened in '08. And it starts with business, right? Small business collapsed in '08. Lending collapsed in '08. And that's where we're kind of getting, where my partner, Doug Sullivan, he's actually on the board at Synovus Bank. They've frozen commercial lending. Frozen. It's a big bank here. That's a sign of things to come. Banks are very hesitant. Try selling a bank on a pro forma right now. Forget about it.
Right.
Forget about it. You can't do it. So that's when the fuel that fuels the economy, which is cash, dries up, or really it's credit. Unfortunately, it's actually the true fuel of our economy.
Right.
When the credit freezes, that's when you see an 08 again. So that's kind of what we're lining up for.
Right.
When they raise the rates, it means everybody's still spending too much. We need to raise the rates.
Mm-hmm.
So I was actually, every time they raised the rates, was thinking, okay, things are still all right. When they finally stop, that's when you got to be nervous. So this has finally happened.
And this is a consumer market. The Americans consume and like to spend money.
Yes.
All the time,
Yes.
no matter what.
No matter
they
what.
spend the money. And I don't think government likes when everything stops. Like everything, constructions are pausing now. So it's a domino effect, right? Everyone started lacking of everything. So at the end, the consumer is the one that dictates the market at the end, because the economy stops and
Right.
the government is like, okay, well. So at some point, things are going to start shifting again.
Right.
But again, there's always opportunities in any shifting market. Sometimes there are more opportunities, sometimes there are less.
Right.
But people constantly have needs. Again, moving, divorce, and any other situations. So
Yes.
there's always
Financial stress is the
Financial
number
stress.
one cause of
Yeah.
divorce. So you're absolutely, that's going to cause a lot of strife too. So August 9th, the Fed came out and said credit card debt hit an all-time high of $1.03 trillion.
Wow.
Wow.
So people have been living on their credit cards, meaning they ran out of money a while ago, but during COVID, they were giving out high credit card limits, like it was left and right, like it was nothing. Not only is it at an all-time high, but what else has happened to everybody's credit card? Your rates have gone up, right? The Fed raising the rate.
Mm-hmm.
So now that people are finally maxed out their credit cards, the savings in the back pocket is there. Now, I mean, those are the ingredients for a recession.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Right.
But
Scary. And I don't want to shift the conversation, because I typically always do that.
go ahead. It's depressing anyway.
I have a question for you two, because you guys are familiar with the whole flipping market, and myself, I know somewhat about it, but never got into it. How do you determine, because you were talking about obviously the numbers are the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know what's like a good number to offer on a property?
Well,
Like,
that's the first thing that I will do before going to property. I know my investors.
okay.
So I ask my investors. Each investor has different criteria to buy. So it's like, okay, how much you want in your pocket?
Mm-hmm.
What's the minimum that what's your number? And they may say 100K. Okay, so I know that from that number, they will buy it from me. For example, if I want to say, let's give it an example. So when I go and find an opportunity, I crunch the numbers to make it work for him.
Mhm.
So I know how much I have to offer. So I have to evaluate the repairs, the closing days on the market. Everything that could be involved.
Okay.
And then do the math. And it's like, okay. And then I make an offer and then start negotiating with the seller and see how motivated that seller is, because they may not be able to sacrifice. They're not, if they don't sacrifice a lot of money, honestly, they're not motivated enough.
Right.
So it has to be a reason why they should giving up a lot of money.
Mhm.
If you say, look, if I can close in 1 week, I get a cash buyer. We go for it.
Mhm.
It's like, if I was listening the other day to an investor saying, I have a $30 million hotel for sale, but if someone comes and give me cash, 33, why not? Give me an offer.
Right.
I may take it.
Right.
So they just give up. So cash is king.
Right.
Investors have the cash ready for opportunities like this. When the crash market starts, they're waiting. They're just waiting.
So if I found a home, good location or whatever the location was, would I start with running comps?
You have to
Or
do that as well.
because I'm assuming like I see some people doing this. They'll a $500,000 home, but they'll offer $150,000, and like all the neighboring homes are like around $400,000. It's like my thing is like, how do I come up with that number? Is it just am I just considering the buyer? Am I also considering the person who's selling?
Of course, both.
So you got to consider both. So is it basically like you do comps, then you just subtract all the expenses and costs to fix that house? Then that's how you offer someone a number?
Yes, it depends what the investor also will do with the house. Right? Because they may want to keep it and rent it out, or they may want to fix it and resell it. So depending on the end strategy is what your numbers will be as well, with your offer will be.
Okay.
So, you know what I'm saying? Like, as you said, the comps are important, because then if he's planning to fix it, if it's a very old house, of course, they probably, unless they wanted to keep in their portfolio for fixing and they like it and rent it out and they want to keep it themselves, then it's one thing. But if they want to resell it, you got to know the comps as well, because they need to make money on top of the flipping, on top of the negotiation between the purchase price and then the selling. That's when they make money.
Can you guys talk about the ARV?
Yeah. So after repair value, that's the most important. So if, let's say, you offer the same scenario that you just had, right? $500,000 houses. If someone's trying to sell it for $400,000, and the baseline is $500,000, the margins that you have in between, there are enough. There's expenses, there's hold times, there's insurance, there's closing fees. So you have to buy at a price where your after repair value is also in line. So then that's at that point you can back in the numbers based on the location, because market is important and the location of the home or property is important.
Right. What's the percentage profit typically investors want?
Depends on the builder, obviously more, but it can be anywhere from 10 to 20%.
Okay.
Yeah. And most developers on the big projects, like the large hotel he was talking about, they shoot for 20 to 30%. But on smaller projects or smaller investors, 10 to 20 is fine.
Depends on the risk portfolio too.
Depends on how much risk they're taking on and all that good stuff. Now, wholesaling it gets a bad rap, especially in commercial, more so than residential, mostly because of daisy chain, right? A lot of agents being involved. But that doesn't mean wholesaling itself is a bad thing. Can you guys talk about wholesaling and what that looks like when you buy and sell a property that's still under contract?
I can give you an example of what happened to me back in Houston. I went to a low-income neighborhood, and these people really needed to sell. So I went to the house with my partner back then, and the house needed a lot of work. So we left the home, and I said, okay, I'll get back to you with an offer, right? Well, after repair value, the house was $50,000. I knew that my investor would pay $20,000, but my offer was $7,000 because I have to make money as a wholesaler as well, right? So you have to crunch the numbers so the wholesalers can make money as well. So there's a lot of numbers, right?
There's nothing, so long as everybody knows what's going on, there's nothing ethically or morally wrong with that.
Right.
At the end of the day, the wholesaler is being compensated for finding the deal. We just talked about how difficult it is to find a deal. We have to feed our families as well. When we spend that amount of time to find a deal and our offer, especially if it's a lower offer, gets accepted, a lot of people don't, have the courage, so to speak, to throw out a low offer, or they don't want to be insulting. But obviously, as a professional in the business, there's less emotions. You make a lot of offers like this. So if I bring my client a deal where the numbers are great for him and fit his criteria, and you're able to get it under contract at a lower price, that is something worth being compensated for. Now, when it gets to be unethical is when not everybody knows what's going on. Right? If the seller doesn't know what's going on, or if you already have an offer in place, that's where the code of ethics and your moral guidelines that you need to follow really come into play. you cannot go place an offer on a property knowing that there's another offer higher ready to go. That's not how it works. If you find a deal and you find a seller in distress and you get it under contract, and then you have that contract and you wave it around and say, "Hey, would anybody else be willing to pay more? Is this still a good deal for you?"
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "Yeah, that's a plenty good deal for me."
Mm-hmm.
Then I deserve to be compensated for that because I found that deal.
Right.
So what would be unethical would be saying to Ace, "Hey, here's a property for $500,000. Do you want it?"
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Yeah, I'll take it for $500,000." And then I go and say, "Okay, I'll get it under contract for $400,000 or try to get it under contract for $400,000. That would be unethical.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to get into that as well because
Absolutely.
a lot of commercial agents don't like wholesaling. They don't like to get involved. And it does become a sticky situation sometimes. But in the fix and flip market, we're going to see a lot of, because it's harder to do in residential, the residential agents are going to start coming in commercial with that same mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Not all of them are going to be good actors.
Right.
There's going to be some bad cookies out there. We've run into a couple. And it's not great. And, first impression, they may seem like a typical garden variety broker, then come to find out that they're not. We actually had a $9 million property go under contract from a residential flipper in California that was being extremely unethical, to the point where we found out, and lucky for us and the seller, when it came time to wire the money for escrow, they had in the contract, if you don't wire the escrow money within 72 hours, the contract falls out. They didn't even have the money to wire the escrow to give them time to wholesale the deal. They were trying to wholesale the deal in 3 days.
Wow.
So, luckily for us, it fell out of contract, and obviously we won't do business with them again. But
I was going to ask you, can you wholesale commercial real estate?
Absolutely. So wholesaling simply means you're selling a contract, right? Or you're
assigning a contract.
Assigning a contract, and the contract has to be reassignable.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of commercial contracts are not reassignable.
Right.
You can't wholesale them. It could also, I've seen it referred to as a quick close and then a turnaround.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that's where ethics comes into play. If you got somebody waiting in the wings, either everybody better know about it.
Mm-hmm.
Ironically, here's what's ironic in this case. The seller of this $9 million property, once we found out what was going on, that they were trying to wholesale it, they were okay with it. They were like, as long as we get our cash, we're okay.
Yeah. And
they almost had an offer at 12 mil. So they would have profited $3 million minus the fees and all that. And our seller was like, it's fine. Wish you would have told me that's what you were going to do, but it's fine. But most sellers are not okay with that because why? They want the $12 million horse.
Yeah.
That's where the ethics really comes in. So why am I not making that $3 million? In his case, he just wanted to sell quick. He was going to 1031. So he's like, you know what? If it's wholesale, at least it's closing. At least I'm getting my $9 million. I'm happy with $9 million. That's the key. Does everybody know what's going on? And is everybody happy with the dollar amount?
Absolutely.
It's when someone doesn't know that you run into a problem.
And it's absolutely, I agree with that. And also, when you do low offers, they always can say no. I mean, it's their call at the end. You're not pushing. Like, this is our offer. You can say yes or no. It's up to them, the rush that they need. You may need the cash right away for something very specific that you're willing to give enough a lot of money and say yes. But at the end, it's just another offer. Take it or not take it,
And a lot of times the advantage of wholesalers is, like you said, Kevin, it takes a lot of time just as these offers. And maybe out of 100 offers, you may get 10 that say yes or some sort of negotiation that comes back. So with it, the advantage that they play to an investor would be that upfront time. An investor may not have time. They might already have an active business that they have to manage or other properties and other ventures. So they may not have time to offer 100 different properties for all 90 of them to tell them no, or this is too low. With it, a wholesaler, that's where they would come into advantage, and that's where the conversation would happen. It more so falls in line of thinking like an investor and having those numbers already in the back of your mind, because it has to be a good deal for someone to buy it. At the same time, like you said, they can always say no. So they have to have the actual motivation to say yes to something, and no one's forcing them.
No one is forcing them, absolutely. And sometimes it's like, as I said, they can go and wait for a buyer to get a loan and wait, or close in a week, cash offer, and move on. So it's up to them at the end if they want to wait and get the full amount, or closer asking price, or giving up some money and get a cash offer close right away. They're always saving fees as well,
Right.
because it's faster, it's cheaper. So there are advantages and disadvantages as well, right? So at the end, it's their call.
Right.
Yeah, and so I've had investors. We had the one fix and flip investor who literally offered to 50-50 the profits on a fix and flip because he was seasoned and he knew. How many did he do? I think he did like 500 in Arizona. Yeah. So he was moving to Florida, wanted to take a stab at this market, but didn't have a broker. And he's like, straight up, I'm not going to motivate a broker to spend the amount of time required to find a deal for me unless I split the profits with you. It's almost like a JV in that sense. So those are ideal situations where everybody knows what's happening. And he's purposefully saying to you, I know how much time it takes. I know how much work it takes. So if we get a house for 400 and we flip it for 500, I'll take 50, you take 50, find me the next deal.
Right.
Now you're going to keep trying to find me deals.
Exactly.
I'm paying for you to work for me, essentially.
Right.
So there's investors that understand the game and do it the right way.
Absolutely.
So, cool. You guys want to talk about any other trends that you see in commercial in your market or tenant rep? I know you have an interesting tenant rep right now. It's a challenge to find.
Yeah, it's a challenge to find. It's a relocation in the market. It's not on their best interest because when it's a relocation, so you want to keep your customers within the same area, right? Otherwise, moving to a different location, it will cost at least a percentage to lose the customers. You need a new marketing plan to gain new customers, right? So in this case, she doesn't want to move from the area, so it's even harder to find a place. And also because a few construction sites has been paused as well.
Right.
So, and they need a specific amount of square footage at the same time. And then to get permits for remodeling, that's another thing. So we may find new places, but they need a lot of remodeling or removing gas station tanks or
getting a landlord to pay for it when it's a landlord's market right now.
Exactly. So it's hard. So I'm sometimes you just need to give options. That's what I was giving her options about too. I think I gave my feedback and she agreed with me. Sometimes it's better to stay in the local market, so don't lose the clientele.
Right.
Go smaller and then get a storage or get a second store outside or further away, but just stay. Don't lose that connection because that will be an issue for the business itself. Or it may take longer to capture new clients because it takes time to capture clients. It's not in 1 month, right? It's a slow pace. Marketing effort, right? So you have your clientele for many years. You try to do your best to keep it.
I agree 100% because I'm actually working tenant rep right now, and their lease is about to expire next year. They're looking at opening 2 more locations. Excuse me, but they're on Central Ave St. Pete, great spot to be in, right in downtown, and there's available leases, in that area. He wants to go to Tampa, goes to Clearwater. And I'm like, well, listen to this. You spent 2 years, because it was only a 2-year lease, building all these clients. And now you want to go all the way, like 30 minutes away to a new location that no one's going to know who you are. Versus there's available leases. Yes, it's more expensive, but you already have your clients here. So I totally agree with you that maybe staying in that same area is potentially
Crucial.
it's so much better because you're not losing new clients, and now you're still building more clients. And that's especially who my client is. It's very hard for him to make new clients because of what his concept is. He can't advertise on social media. He has restrictions he has to follow. So just starting from scratch might even make the business, fail because he has to go all over again, building new clients.
Let's start again.
Yeah.
Very few, because unless you're super, super loyal to the retailer and love their products, unique products that you will not find anywhere else, if you go to the store and they move 15, 20 minutes away, who's going to drive up there?
Yeah,
like if you see Walmart, you start Googling, and now you can find anywhere with the same product, right? So unless you have a connection with the retail and again, with the products that you really love, you won't drive that far.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just find a new guy.
Which is fine, yeah. But as you said, like business moving further away may fail their business. It's a new challenge. It's starting again.
It is starting
from
over.
scratch.
It is, yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting that you also do multifamily. I do multifamily, so I want to actually get your opinion on, what's your thoughts on investing in multifamily currently right now? Do you think it's a good thing to go to any area in Florida and invest, or what have you been seeing has been happening with the whole multifamily investment?
Yeah, and the demand is really high. That's really the biggest issue we've seen is cap rates. You need the cap rates compared with interest rates. You need the simple formula. And you can tell that a lot of these deals don't work, especially to buy existing multifamily right now. It's hard unless you find a great deal. And that's kind of the main topic of what we've been talking about. Is if you can find a great deal on a multifamily, it makes sense to back into those numbers. But really the biggest issue which you are seeing, I personally, we have a lot of duplexes and quadruplexes in Lee County. I know in Cape Coral specifically, how they zoned it, and this may be an opportunity in the future, is that the whole Santa Barbara and the whole Skyline area is the first row is all multifamily.
Right.
So it's all zoned for commercial. It may be a situation where you have it in one little plaza where there's just a sole little duplex around a huge thing of retail. So in terms of overall development, that retail is going to expand, and that commercial sector is going to expand. So if it's a situation, a long-term play, you can make some cash flow quick.
Right.
Maybe start buying some of those smaller deals, hold it for the intrinsic value of the land and location-wise. But what you are starting to see is, but I'm sure you can say the same peak market, is a lot of these deals aren't priced right to buy.
Right. Of course.
Well, I want to transition that to what we're doing with a lot of multifamily investors is we're pivoting them into two areas. One is business brokerage. The cap rates in a business, they average between 30 and 40 compared to real estate. Now, significantly riskier, and you've got to have the wherewithal to operate a business. Most of these businesses are not passive. A lot of baby boomers are retiring, and there's a huge shift of money that's about to happen in all these baby boomers that have built these businesses that are about to sell and transition this value for the first time. That being said, with the multifamily market being tough to find a good deal and a good cap rate, we've been saying, hey, why don't you look at a business? And about a quarter of them, they do have the wherewithal to operate a business. They're just looking to improve their ROI. So it is a good fit for them. Run a small mom and pop retail or repair business that's recession-proof, service-based business. Here, pressure washing is big. Landscaping is huge in Florida, obviously. Believe it or not, you have to cut your grass every single week. Every single week. Which is obviously recurring business that's recession-proof that a lot of people are looking for. The other big thing outside of businesses is, and I'm sure you guys are hearing this a lot, triple net multi-tenant lease. Now, it's mostly found in industrial, which is something that we specialize in, industrial and manufacturing. The triple net, tell us what a triple net is.
Well, triple net is, it can be industrial, it can be a high-end retail, it can also be a multifamily, It all depends, Well, basically what triple net means is the tenant is responsible for everything. So responsible for utilities, insurance, taxes. You'll also hear there's triple net. There's what's the other, gross net? There's
you have gross, modified gross. You have absolute net.
Absolutely, and every single one is a different meaning. But when you get to most ideally, obviously, we'd want a triple net because you don't have any expenses as a landlord. So you just sit back and collect your monthly check and have other people, the tenants paying for your expenses. So that's why it's working right now in our economy.
Now, why is that so important here in Florida, though?
In Florida, I mean, I would say because we just went through major increases on insurance and taxes. So having the ability to put that on your tenants is going to really make you more money. So, because like if you had a modified lease, I promise you that deal's not going to work because they
it was a good deal last year.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously it depends where you are in Florida, but some places insurance went up 100%, some 50, taxes went up 20 to 30%. Then you have interest rates, then you have high pricing on the investment. I mean, 90% of deals are not going to work. So when you look at maybe triple net, like shopping centers are a triple net, or industrial that's triple net, or multifamily class A properties are a triple net, then you want to audit that property and say maybe it might work.
And the easiest way to convey the difference between triple net and absolute, which we're starting to see some more absolutes. It's a landlord's market, and landlords are getting more conservative. They want to cover their bases. If you're in there for 10, 15 years, they know from experience that if they sign a lease that looks like a great deal on paper today, 5 years from now, market rents are going to be higher. Taxes will be higher, insurance is going to be higher. So it's not a good deal for the landlord anymore. All of a sudden, the landlord starts losing money. So now they're making sure they have a 3% annual increase in the dollar amount to fight inflation. So your rent's going up 3% every year, whether you like it or not. You're paying the taxes and insurance. So if the taxes and insurance goes up, no matter how varied that cost is, it's on you. I, as a landlord, can sit back and get my mailbox money. That's what I intended to do in the first place. And the economy and the market's rewarding the person with all the capital. These renters are renting for a reason because they can't afford to buy the building. So the person who was able to afford to buy the building is getting rewarded against the volatility of the market. And absolute net, like I said, the easiest way to say how they're different is not only is it the variable cost, the taxes, the insurance, the common area maintenance, the utilities, but it's also the structural cost of the building. Air conditioning, the roof, things like that. Whereas a triple net, a landlord is still responsible typically for the AC, the roof, things like that. When a medical marijuana dispensary or a pharmacy or a big corporate client goes in, they typically do an absolute net, meaning they're responsible for the roof. They're responsible for putting in phase 3 electric. They're responsible for the air conditioning. Then it's truly, truly hands off at that point. And my camera picks up when my hands move and moves on me.
Everything is negotiable, right? That's what we are here for.
Right.
To fight for them, for the tenants.
Right. When it used to be a buyer's market, landlords couldn't ask for that stuff. They couldn't ask for the world. But now they're asking for it and they're getting it. We're starting to see absolute nets on businesses that typically you wouldn't even see them. But you have, like the dispensaries, for example, a lot of them are not allowed to own real estate. So the landlords are like, pay for everything or you're not getting my building. And it's hard to find the zoning, too, and the approval.
Right.
So if the landlord's got that zoning and approval, they're in the driver's seat. And the actual rent, the base rent itself is going to be higher than market value. The dispensaries are making so much money that it still makes sense for them to do the deal. And that's kind of the moral of the story. Does it make sense for people to do the deal? The investors in a fix and flip or the multi-million-dollar manufacturing company renting a warehouse? It all comes down to, does the deal make sense? And at the end of the day, we're matchmakers. We're about, okay, where does the deal make sense? Who does it make sense for? It may not make sense for your investor number A or investor A, but investor B, that might be the deal they've been looking for 3 years.
Absolutely.
Right. So that's our job, is to connect the dots, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
All right, birthday boy, you want to do the outro?
Outro? Anything else?
Or do you guys have anything to add?
Well, I would say that I also want to help the people that speak Spanish, that sometimes they have a barrier to the language. So feel free to contact me and I'll do my best to help you out. It's, for all Spanish speaking, I know there's a lot here and a lot of immigration.
Habla español.
So hablo español. Sí.
You want to do the outro in Spanish?
No, that's okay.
bensound.com. 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 bensound.com.